Welcome back. This is our calendar training session for the Multiply app on the web. And this is designed primarily to be viewed by administrators and key leaders because primarily those are the only two that would have access to add or change to the calendar. And so if you're one of those leaders, the admin or the key leader, you can click on the calendar. And we've created an opportunity here for you to do several things. First of all, just an overview. The calendar can be used to plan your teaching plan. So you have the opportunity to interact with TeacherSource with all the modules that you have already redeemed and drag and drop those onto your calendar to create a plan for your Wednesday night or Sunday night meetings or whatever else you have going on. I'm going to demonstrate that in just a moment. Second thing you can do is you can plan other youth ministry events that you'd want your leaders to know about. Keep in mind that all your other leaders, those small group leaders and people that you have helping your ministry, would be using the Multiply mobile app, either their phone or their other device. And so whatever you lay out on the calendar, they would have access to that information on the calendar for their web app or for their mobile app. But first, let me just talk about navigating through the calendar. Obviously, you can click left and right with this button to go deeper into the calendar. You can always go back to today's date by clicking on that button. And then as you'll notice on the right-hand side, the administrator or key leader has the opportunity to add youth meeting details, to add a special event, which would be like a leaders meeting or some Saturday event or something that's not part of a youth meeting night. You have the opportunity also to click on and delete certain events if you've made a mistake or you decided to go in a different direction. And so what I'm going to do is demonstrate how to add the youth meetings using the calendar tool. Let's just start with September 2nd, just for the stay on the same calendar. So the first place you go is you're going to add your youth meetings. You can do them one at a time or you can add multiple meetings. And you're asked to initiate either by text entry there or going by the calendar emblem here. Go to the calendar you want, and we're choosing to do Wednesday nights. You could do whatever night your youth usually meet, and it's inclusive. So this first night that we're going to talk about is September 2nd, and then we're going to go through 4 weeks in September, and we're going to end on the 23rd, which is also included, as you can see. So the other thing we'll do is we'll designate through the drop down that this is a Wednesday night, and our normal start time is 6:30, and that's PM. If you use your keyboard, you can strike that. You can also come over here and find or enter in those numbers that way. I'm going to, for the sake of brevity on this video, skip out how to add meeting planner elements, but we'll come back to that in video 2. But if you have any dates that you're not going to meet in that time span, for instance, maybe the third Wednesday of the week, you weren't going to meet. Let's just go to that. So you would click the 16th here and click remove, and it would take care of that. I'm not going to do that now, so we're just going to move to the next step. When you click next step, you get those 4 weeks of lessons, September 2nd through the 23rd, and all of the TeacherSource modules that you have redeemed will populate into this screen, giving you the opportunity to drag and drop either all of the module on these 4 weeks or individual lessons as you choose. Obviously, if you haven't yet redeemed any of your curriculum from TeacherSource, you're going to want to do that first. So you'll also notice that there's an opportunity before you even drag and drop that you could, if you chose to, click this button that says I will use a custom lesson. Like for instance, if you chose on this first Wednesday night of September to launch your ministry and you wanted to have some sort of grade up of new grade levels into your ministry for the first night, or if it were a parent night and you had a special message that you wanted, you could click that. You'll give an opportunity later to edit it, and I'll show you how to do that. But for the sake of argument, I'm just going to take the Club Basics module called 101. And when you click on it, all 4 of the lessons will show up, and you can individually drag and drop them in whatever sequence you want. Or you can just drag the entire module over to the first week, and when you see it turn color, just drop it, and it will populate all 4 of those weeks in that sequence. Now, if you weren't satisfied with that, you didn't want to do that, you could have chosen to start with prayer on week 1 by dragging it individually to that one, or to use the message on accountability and make it 4th. You could have dragged it down here to the 4th lesson. But you see it simply done here. I've dropped all 4 of the lessons of the module onto those dates, and now they're ready to populate. When I hit generate calendar, that's what will happen. You'll notice that now we have at 6:30 p.m. lesson on accountability, and as you can see throughout the month it progresses. Just to demonstrate again how easy it is to delete a message or any of the particular entries you've made, all you do is select events to delete, click on it, it highlights it, and click on delete, and you'll remove that, and then you could replace it with something else if you wanted to. I can always cancel that selection so I don't have to go through that process. Now again, I mentioned to you, what if your monthly leaders meeting where you get together for planning of the next 4 weeks lessons and your youth ministry night? You can always click add special event, and when you do that, you can title it whatever you want, and I'm going to call it Word of Life Leaders Meeting. I'll give it a description. I think a description is required for monthly planning, and we're going to make it the 23rd of August, which is coming up this Sunday, and we're going to have to give it a time of 5 p.m. And when I click on it and save it, you should see on August 23rd, Word of Life Leaders Meeting. And so we've created a special meeting. It'll show up on the phone app with leaders. And so if you'll lay all these out at the beginning of your ministry year, perhaps sit down and schedule all months, all calendar entries that you might think of, including things like D-Now or Camp Week or anything of that nature. You'll be able to give your leaders on the palm of their hand on their Multiply app everything they need for their ministry for the year in terms of dates. They can always be modified later if you choose to do that. I wanted to demonstrate now how you go about looking at the details of each week. So you've got these September dates scheduled now. So when you click on one, and you would normally do this just in your office, perhaps on your PC or your Mac, you do have opportunity here to check attendance. So if you wanted to carry in, for instance, a computer or an iPad and you went to the website for the web app, you could check attendance. You could filter your students by small group so that you only see certain small groups, or you could get them all in this fashion, which is going to list them all, and you can click through them left and right here. But you can check attendance and also add notes regarding each student. And obviously you can see that you have the ability to look at the small group guide, which again, you most likely would not use that in your teaching on Wednesday night, but you get the outline that the leaders would get on the Palm in their web and their mobile app as well. So you'll see what the student handout looks like with the fill-ins, underline, and bold. You do have an opportunity to look at the overview of the lesson. This is what your leaders are going to see, and if you chose to, you could click here and begin to do your detailed editing of the event. You could use the notes section to include any special detail that you wanted your leaders to know. For instance, if this on this event, this is your launch night, and you wanted leaders to be present at the doors to greet parents, you could say so. Parents, and that will show up again in the mobile app as the leaders take a look at their schedule for the night. If you chose to, again, you could add meeting elements like the icebreaker, the sharing time, the music, small group assignments, anything special that you wanted to, but I'm going to come back in a second video to do that. And so when you're done and you go back to your calendar, you have done pretty much all that you'd want to do. You've planned special events through the year. You have planned your teaching plan through the year. You've determined any kind of special notes you want for a particular week or an event. And by doing this, you've given just basically an overview of each month or each year or the entire year for your leaders to have access on their phone app. So that is how you do the calendar in the web portion of our tool called Multiply.